Although South American Call is continuing to change and to improve the methods and techniques we use to spread the gospel, there are some things that remain constant. The children's ministry is a great example of this. I can't remember the first time we read John 3:16 to the kids, but we have taught this verse to literally thousands of children. This trip was no exception. Sherry Freeman and Kathy Warren teamed up to do a wonderful job. They did dramas of the life of Christ using great actors like Chuck King along with his buddy Aaron from Pennsylvania, Jerry Warren from Natchez, Mississippi, Greg Causey and Heath Pruitt from Knoxville, Tennessee, June Willis along with Bobby and Roxy Kovac from my old hometown of Oak Grove, Louisiana. Chuck brought the house down playing the part of the deaf mute. They sang and prayed with the children and helped them to accept Jesus as Lord of their lives. They played with them and gave them gifts and treats. These children will never forget the time they met a man called Jesus, whom they could not see, but left the crusade knowing that he was in their heart. But there are always new and dynamic moves of God that we encounter. Some of these help us to understand that we really are in His will and we are where He wants us to be. For example, the second village we went into had a tiny little church in it. Keep in mind that this village, along with 4 more of the villages we worked, had never seen missionaries. But the pastor of this little church told us an incredible story of how God had brought salvation to his family and a tiny group of believers.
Sí, Señor. Vamos, hermanos, alabando el nombre del Señor, porque Dios es grande y poderoso, hacedor de toda maravilla. Gloria a Dios, hermanos. Vamos a alabar al Señor, hermanos.
20 years ago, his wife became gravely ill. During this time, he had been having dreams about God. He took his wife to Pucallpa to find a doctor, but the doctor had only bad news. Her body was full of tumors, and there was no hope. She was swelled and in horrible pain. The doctor sent her home to die. But that night, the pastor dreamed he was talking to Jesus, a Jesus he did not know. He said to Jesus, "Are you God? If you are God and have power and will heal my wife, I will serve you all my life." When he arose the next morning, he found that his wife had had an identical dream. The swelling was gone. The pain was gone. She had been healed by God as she slept. He went back to Pucallpa to buy their one and only Bible. Sometime later, he and his tiny group of followers began to fast on Fridays and pray all night until the sun came up the next morning. According to the pastor, during one of their all-night prayer services, several began to speak in a language they did not know. Pentecost had come to the jungle. To this day, his wife is still healthy. 6 months ago, she gave birth to yet another healthy child. They had been praying for God to send someone to them to help them with their walk with God. They believed that South American Call was sent to them by God. I believe it too. In just a few days, they will be receiving the training they need in School of Christ with Jose. We were supposed to be there. God sent us there. To God be the glory and the honor and the praise for it all. As always, there are humanitarian services we provide. On this trip, Bobby Kovac had found some old corn shellers, like the one I used when I was a kid. He brought them to Peru to give to the people to shell their corn. They worked great, and the people were glad to get them. In one village, they had rented a large mechanical corn sheller to use to shell their corn. Bobby estimated that these 8 or 10 men did the work in one day that a modern agricultural combine here in the United States would do in about 10 minutes. Roxy did the hygiene program again. She taught them why they get sick from parasites and, more importantly, how to avoid it. She taught them about latrines and washing their hands and the importance of clean drinking water. She also gave away reading glasses, which she brought with her. This may seem like a small thing, but if you can't see to get a splinter out of your finger or to see how to read a book, reading glasses are wonderful. Most adults and children in these villages had parasites because of poor hygiene. So Pastor Chuck King generously donated more than $1,000 for the medicine used to treat this disease. Here you see Roxy dispensing the medication. Thanks, Chuck. Bobby and Jose taught the people about the Hayes chlorine generator. We are using it more efficiently now. As you can see, we're making 5 gallons of the chemical at the time. We place 1 pound of salt in 5 gallons of water. Then we place the generator on a PVC pipe and suspend it in the salt water. 1 hour later, we have enough chemical to give a normal-sized village clean drinking water for a week. Jose is learning to deal with all the various arms of ministry in South American Call. In so doing, he can deal with any problems with the equipment when he returns to the villages. In the night services, we showed movies, of course. We had problems with every piece of equipment we had on the trip. The generator had to be worked on, and the projector broke down due to the heat, and I had to go into it and set the fan to a higher speed. But by the second day, we had everything up and running. Mostly we used the God story on this trip. It is a complete story of the Bible. For people who know nothing or just bits and pieces about God, it is wonderful. Almost without exception, we have people to accept Jesus following the videos. It is a marvelous tool to teach the people about the basics of the Bible. Pastor Causey wanted to do a Bible study in the afternoons on this trip. It is always difficult to do activities in the afternoon. It is usually unbearably hot, and we have a lengthy activity at night when we show the movie. But I agreed it would be a good thing to try it. At times it would seem that no one would be there, but as he began to teach, more and more would show up. Greg did a great job teaching, and souls were blessed because of the knowledge of the Bible they received. In all, we had a wonderful trip. 243 people received Jesus as Lord, in addition to all the other wonderful activities. 5 of these villages had never seen missionaries. We tested a depth finder for the boat and found we could safely run at night. This will give us at least 1 extra day of ministry on a typical trip. We confirmed that the new method of using the chlorine generator was better than the old, faster and more efficient. And we continue to see Jose Gonzalez develop and mature in the ministry. Listen with me now as he shares his heart about the ministry of School of Christ International and South American Call.
Estoy muy emocionado de trabajar en la Escuela de Cristo.
I am very excited about working in the School of Christ. In a time when many people are talking about revival, I see very little change in their lives. In a time when Christian people are frustrated, disappointed because they are not finding solutions to their problems, School of Christ is a light in the darkness. And so the emphasis of School of Christ is to have a personal relationship with God, to have freedom. This is a great opportunity for everybody who lives in this area. South American Call is the tip of the spear. The tip of the spear in this area to do his work because the devil is confusing the people and distorting the doctrine of the Bible. The School of Christ through South American Call is bringing the light of God. It is an opportunity to accomplish his work. It will be very difficult because the devil will fight against us with all his power. We need your prayers and support. We are sure that God will give us victory. God bless you.